Life can be tough, and a lot of people want to help give other people advice about what to do in life, and I don't want to be another one of those people. But I do want to help you see more about your environment and the world that you live in so you can make up your own mind and make better choices within your own life. But I don't live in your life. I don't live in your shoes, so I don't know what really goes on within your life. So the most I can do is give a sense of purpose, of ideas, of different options, and say, this is what other people have done, this is what I have done, this is what we know works using science or philosophy or psychology based on many people's experiences, right? And that's what we do with the project, the Liberator 2 News. So I want to introduce to you this idea that, well, life is worth living and that you should not beat yourself up, because a lot of people push themselves down, and especially in today's world, you see anxiety and depression growing. And when I was in school, I had to help a lot of kids with this, and it's no surprise. You have all this mass advertisement and media, so much coming at you, and so many people wanting you to think like them and trying to get you to spend money. It's like, if you want to do something, you got to spend money. It's like crazy, right? So what makes a life worth living? Let's get into this. There is more than unwanted heaviness in life. Life can be beautiful, and it can be challenging. It can be downright unpleasant. But what is life without its lessons? A good reminder lies in the grounding of one's way of seeing things. What are things one cannot control? What are things one can influence? And what are things within one's control? If you look at a lot of ancient philosophies, one that's coming back very prominent is Stoicism. Another one that I talk about, that I wrote a book about, was Taoism. And these talk about the idea of controlling your environment so they don't control you, right? Like this technology you're probably watching this video on right now, or any other tool within your life. We can become the tools of our tools if we're not careful. And we can see this very evidently with artificial intelligence and some of the things that are being developed. It's like, wow, we become totally dependent on them. But what if these tools can actually just be something that we use, not something that uses us? This is where we need to have this higher consciousness to see what we're doing. And this is what I mean by this greater awareness, so we can move forward in the future and actually live a good life, a life where we are in control, and so we don't have to worry so much about a lot of the problems. We can actually let go and have less need for control, and that's the key. The past has already happened. Does self-loathing change what happened or how one acted? Self-loathing is self-hatred in a sense. This is not to say that mourning and holding oneself accountable are invalid, but self-loathing without tools to widen one's perspective is just taking another ride on a feedback loop. It's a cage and therefore a killer of freedom. Quote, "While evil seeks to destroy or hide a person's worth, freedom shows humans their full potential and their full value. With freedom, people have loved, cured disease, removed hunger, eased labor, and lived in peace. With freedom, happiness is possible. Freedom is the exact opposite of evil." End quote. Now that's actually from The End of All Evil, a book, short book by Jeremy Locke. A very good book, I would recommend it. One of the key aspects is that you have infinite value, this book teaches, and that you don't want to have anything limit you, whether it's culture or religion or politics and telling you should fit in a certain box or wear a certain identity. No, you're much more than that. And, a lot of these things can tear down our freedoms despite us claiming that they'll help our freedoms. And these types of contradictions are the things that, if we see the contradiction, this is what's going to open our minds. Because we see past our own barriers, we see past our own shadows. Carl Jung would call this shadow work, and you can look that up online. There's tons of people talking about shadow work and having to do that within themselves, realizing, man, I was wrong and I didn't realize I was doing wrong. They didn't realize it. Why? Because they were stuck in the box. How did they get out of that box? Well, asking questions and challenging their own worldview, and unfortunately for a lot of people, it's getting hurt. But you don't have to get hurt if you have awareness before experience. Unlike having experience and then having awareness, you can be the one to have the advantage by learning from others' actions rather than having to do the act yourself. This is why I make videos like this, right? It's empowerment. It's critical thinking. And so beating oneself up is useless, although we do want to hold ourselves accountable. Feelings that can surface can definitely be useful. A popular idea is to feel the feelings. Can one feel the feelings and stay stuck? A lot of times people avoid the discomfort of certain emotions. Therefore, feeling one's feelings has a sort of learning curve. It is a practice. Solutions and a shift in perceptions help knock one out of a labyrinth of dead ends and catastrophes, as I mentioned. The ability to shift out of dead-end thinking in times of deep emotional distress can be strengthened, to where nothing really pushes you down in life. The good thing is that one is never completely alone as well. And it's good to use all the resources available to shift one's focus and therefore change one's perception into one of acceptance and allowing solutions to surface on their own. This sort of idea of self-healing and allowing the body to heal itself, if you think of fasting and health, it's the same exact dynamic. And we often say too, if somebody has a disease and something's taking over their body, they're not really free. So freedom can be applied in everything here, and freedom is what allows us to see these new solutions. As I said, it's opening up your mind. But see, when it comes to your health, it's the same thing. If you were to fast, for instance, I'm not saying that you should, but it does help a lot of people, you can clear your body of all the things that you're constantly giving it, this bombardment, right? So it can actually heal itself, which is why fasting has helped a lot of people. That's why, because you're clearing out a lot of the gunk, the garbage, right? It's like this liver is your trash can, and you gotta be sure to get rid of the trash once in a while. That's just how it goes. So how can catharsis come into play? Is it a result of self-loathing or another type of perception suffering? Releasing emotions can be a positive experience during or after it happens. But how can one use catharsis to stay aligned with freedom and therefore correct action? This renewal would realign a person, but only practice again makes perfect, and we are not talking about an obsessive need for perfection. The solution is in integrating insights aligned with freedom and voluntary actions into the mundane day-to-day of one's life. Having principles that you can set for yourself where you say, this is what I stand for because I know it to be true. So voluntary action is one of them, and aligning your actions to freedom is another one, right? And freedom means freedom for all. Voluntary interaction means the golden rule. Like, if you believe and you understand that you don't want somebody hurting you, then you don't hurt other people. If you want to be free, then you don't infringe on other people's freedoms. And so you apply this principle to everything. See what happens and never give up. Remember right action. A lot of people have this thing, we say, a conscience. And the biggest problem in this world is people passing that up. Oh, it's okay. I'll do this for the time being. I'll let go of my conscience. I know it's wrong, but I'm going to do it anyways. That right there is the issue. They know what they're doing is wrong. They know that they're probably going to get bad results, but they do it anyways. So strengthening and practicing this willpower of principle is definitely key. Tools are there to be used when needed. Resources are available. In the end, every moment passes, and every day and moment can be taken as a new start. Always remember, freedom is love, and love is freedom, truth, courage, and right action. You cannot be free unless you love yourself enough to say, I'm going to take charge of my life and live the life that I want to live, that my body tells me I should live, because I'm listening to my body. I'm saying this is the food I should eat, this is what I should do, right? I'm respecting what it's telling me I should do, but not a lot of people may be in tune with that because they haven't listened to themselves. They may have listened purely to other people and made it all external. So we need to be able to, you can say have a brain balance, you can say internal, external, have a balance there, but really just listen to ourselves and see what are the thoughts that go on in our day-to-day brain. Take a second to step back. Take a second to be present. This is why a lot of people talk about meditation and presence techniques. Stop treating yourself like shiz. because life just passes by you. This is from Christopher S. Hyatt and friends from the Big Black Book. He says, guess what? No one cares because they're doing the same. They're beating themselves silly, and if you let them, they will beat you silly. It is a bad habit, a common habit, a bad habit. Let go of it now. Stop being mean to yourself because that's the habit of slaves. So just drop it. When you catch yourself doing it, stop. This is his advice, and I totally agree with it. It's just telling it like it is. It's true. Don't beat yourself on the head. What is that really going to do for your condition? A lot of people judge themselves, say, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. Well, then you're never going to do it. And that's the key. If you notice a lot of these people in business, a lot of people in the world who've done great things, they're very confident in themselves. And it makes a lot of people who watch them like, wow, they're inspiring, but also, man, I can't be like them. Because they look at that confidence and they're like, wow, they have so much confidence. Start building that confidence for yourself. Why not? There's always something that you have that someone else doesn't have. And there's always, even if you're in a really bad scenario, it's not going to be as bad as somebody else. And if you look at it like that, okay, it's not so good and it's not so bad. I don't need to judge myself if it's good or bad. I can just live. I can just accept my life as it is and move along and flow, as the Taoist ancient Chinese philosophy would tell us, right? So this is, some life advice, some ideas of, okay, why is life worth living? Because freedom, because creativity, because you set your own limitations and your mind gets in your own way. So don't beat yourself up. It's you who makes you yourself think that it isn't worth living. And you need to recognize that, right? There are problems that maybe I can't address. I'm not a psychiatrist, when it comes to mental blockades and things that can happen in the environment. But is that an excuse to just say, oh, well, I can't help myself at all, I need to totally be reliant on someone else? No, I'm going to have total faith in you to heal yourself, because it's totally possible. There's people who have done it. There's people who have cancer who believe so wholeheartedly, like, I'm going to get over this, and they get over it because their beliefs in their mind make that much of a difference in their health. And there is that principle of mentalism, a Hermetic principle that states that all is mind, that all is created by the mind. So if you want to be responsible for everything you create, be responsible for everything you think. Because in order for anything around us to have been created, whether it's a table, a chair, or a green screen or whatever, it had to be thought of first. So our brain really does create this reality. And there's a lot we also don't see, bear in mind, right? So we accept what we think we see, but there's more even on the unseen aspects, which is, again, going into the spiritual laws. And this is why a lot of people find inspiration looking into the unseen, looking into what isn't commonly perceived. Because it's like, well, what is there? And can I interact with it? What can it do for me? Carl Jung talking about the unconscious being your most powerful force. Well, what am I doing that I'm not realizing that I'm doing? This is what will make everything worth it, because now you're adding value into what you're doing. I put intention into the food I made. I put intention into the book that I wrote. I put intention into everything. There's a reason why I do it. I'm not just doing it because I have this slave mind that says I have to do it because society tells me to do it because I have to do this certain thing. No, you're doing it because it's coming from you authentically, from your heart. So always stand by that. Thank you very much for watching. This was an article written by Nancy Garcia. Thank you so much, Nancy Garcia, and hopefully you don't mind my little analysis here. But this is it. We all can work together. We could all help each other out. And be sure to learn more. Go to theliberator.us. I'll also turn your article and turn to a video for you. Thank you for watching.